She's April.
And she's Molly.
And we are...
the Book Besties.
Michael.
He's got to be part of the Illuminati. There's no way he looks like that and he's not.
But yeah, everybody dies, man. Everyone dies.
The toilet survived?
Sheep is plural and singular, right?
What the fuck? How do you not know what a raptor is?
Thanks, Hollywood, for ruining women again.
Just start that shit over. That was miserable. What the hell?
Yay, you brought the hand thing back. Oh my god. Besties, I can finally tell them.
You can finally tell them. I've been waiting for us to be able to talk about this.
I know. Guys, I'm moving.
You are moving, but not like across the street.
I am moving to Maryland. I will be closer to my mom, and I'm going to be closer to April. I'm going to be closer to all the things. I'm so excited.
Yeah, at this point, you'll be only like 4-ish hours from me, which means that besties, we might be able to film some episodes like in person. Like,
right.
In the same room.
It's fucking mind-boggling.
It's crazy. I haven't seen you in person
since you guys left this
2014. We came
back.
Oh,
you brought James.
I came back with James, and he was just shy of a year.
Yeah.
No, it was 2015. He was 18 months.
Yeah, he was still a baby.
He was 18 months, and we stayed at your house, and stayed at our other friend's house. Like, we kind of split our time between the two of you. And, yeah, we haven't seen each other in person since
I know.
Like, I hadn't even conceived Sam yet. We weren't even trying to conceive Sam yet.
Y'all were just trying to survive the babydom, man.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
Today, we are talking about...
Jurassic Park!
This is Piper's copy. Mine is packed.
I love that you and Piper both have a copy of Jurassic Park.
Well, she wanted all of the books after she read the first one. She read my copy back in, like, the fall. Mm-hmm. And she asked for the rest of them for Christmas. So I got her own copy paperback to go with her set because she will steal mine if she does not have the first one to go with the set.
Isn't it just 2 books? It's just a sequel, right?
I think it's technically 3. I think there's like a sub one. Oh, I gotta look now.
Oh, I thought I had looked it up, and I know there's a sequel, and I thought that was it. But Michael Crichton has written a lot. The Lost World is the second one.
Okay,
and it's 6 years.
Lost Worlds. Yeah, it is 2 books. You're right.
Yeah,
it's 2.
And The Lost World takes place 6 years after the original Jurassic Park.
Yes. So, do you want a synopsis?
I would love a synopsis. I would love it. I'm here for it. Making sure my
as long as Tom doesn't give us a hard time about synopsis, which next episode you guys will hear.
Yeah, spoiler alert, we've actually recorded the next episode already.
Old crazy white man tries to play God and nearly kills his grandkids. There's more, I promise, guys.
I was like, was that it?
John Hammond, the owner of InGen, and the grandfather to Tim and Lex Murphy. Hammond is a bit mad to most, but has designed an exclusive resort with a zoo. The zoo, though, is made of genetic recreated dinosaurs. He has invited Dr. Alan Grant and his colleague Dr. Ellie Sattler, which I'm really upset that the movie made them love interests.
Oh my gosh, I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking the same thing.
Dr. Ian Malcolm's mathematician, which I understand jack shit of what he talks about in the book because the math is over my head. And Donald Gennaro, sent by InGen to check on their investment. After everyone arrives, all hell breaks loose, people get separated, and some people die. This book has you questioning, should we be meddling in the depths into the past? Good enough?
Yeah, I think that's good.
So, my first question has to be about a comparison. you saw the movie back in the day, right? When it first came out?
Yes, and I actually rewatched it yesterday.
So, but you had that first, right? Mm-hmm. You didn't read this?
I had never read this book until you put it on the pod, and I have to say, I'm really glad I did. I actually really enjoyed this book. I didn't think I would. I've seen all the Jurassic Park movies, even like the ones that weren't theatrical releases, because I love dinosaurs. Like, I have always been a science kid. I wish I were better at math, because you know,
the math and the science kind of makes my head go droopy in this.
But in general, math and science tend to go together. Like, I'm a library scientist, but like, you know, it's not really the same thing. But
it is and it isn't.
Yeah, but I really liked this. Even the parts where the science, like, that could not happen. Like, he explains it.
Right.
So yes, I really liked it. I'm sorry. What was your question?
What did you think, now that you've read this, what do you think of the comparison between the two? Like, what do you think of the transition from book to movie and vice versa?
Well, I did notice in the end credits that Michael Crichton was on board as one of the co-writers for the script. So they kept the integrity of the story, I think. But there's a lot of things you don't get. Like, in the movie, you don't get the pteranodons attacking. No. Like, you don't get that at all. You don't get any of the flying dinosaurs.
Creatures, right.
Right. A lot more people die in the book.
So many. It's way more violent.
Including
this is
Hammond.
Way more violent.
Oh yeah. So,
in such a good way, though, I think.
Right.
Like, and I don't mean to make that sound weird, but the violence is necessary in this book.
Yeah, and I think that, like, the book does a better, like, the movie saves all the main characters because, like, it wants to give a semblance of a happy ending. But, like, in the movie, Malcolm and Hammond both die. And, like, to me, that makes more sense. Like, there's no way that he got attacked by a T-Rex and has been bleeding out for hours and he just, like, makes it. Like, But,
it makes zero sense.
Jeff Goldblum is apparently immortal, so.
So, I mean, we can dive deeper into, like, the contrast in comparison of the movie to book at the end. But overall, I think it's a great transition. Cutting out a bunch of the heavy science and math stuff that makes the brain go gooey.
Right.
I think my one big pet peeve is changing the kids completely. That felt unnecessary.
In the book, she's younger and he's older.
I read
in the book, I really hated her. Oh my gosh, I was just like, feed her to the T-Rex.
You're supposed to hate her. And I think that's important in the book. Like, I think she's supposed to be an irritating kid, and that's what it was. But I think. And I read it somewhere, and I'll find, if I can find the article, I'll put it in the notes. But it said something about they had the child actors, already signed on before the script was written. So they had made the decision to change the ages of the kids based off the actors they had found.
Okay.
So
I mean, I kind of figured it was something like that. Like, if you find the people that.
Right, because the girl was already pretty popular in the 90s back in the day when that movie first came out. So it makes sense that she was, like, one of the actors they wanted.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know. Can I tell you something funny about when I was watching the movie yesterday?
Oh, yeah.
So I had asked my sons if they would want to watch with me. And I thought that the movie came out when I was, like, around James's age, which he's 9. And I looked it up and no, I was definitely, like, 12. So I told them that it was a little scary, that there were dinosaurs in it, that they were not friendly dinosaurs, that, like, these are, like, beast
It's not like Land Before Time or Ice Age.
Right. And I was like, people are going to die. Like, it's scary.
Realistic and scary.
But if you want to watch it with me, you can. And I kept having to explain to them, like, the dinosaurs aren't real. Like, they're animatronics. They're robots. And James was like, you mean they took, like, the last dinosaurs and then made robots on their bones? And I was like, no, son. They just built robots. But the funny part came, there's a part in the movie where the T-Rex, like, attacks the cars, and then he, like, basically demolishes like a bathroom shed
area.
Like, there's like a toilets area.
And he throws the Jeeps and the whole scene. Yeah.
Right. So the lawyer guy, like, had left the car and gone and hid in there.
Donald Gennaro.
Yeah. And the T-Rex knocks it over, but still standing in the middle of all of this debris is the one toilet and the guy that's sitting on it. And Sam goes, the toilet survived? And I lost it.
Oh, Sammy. Potty humor transitions no matter the genre.
I was laughing so hard. I was just like...
Man, he'll love Three Stooges. Give him all the potty humor.
He doesn't need any more things where people hit each other, because we're going through a phase right now that I'm about to lose my shit. But it was very funny. Yeah, yes, exactly. You'll understand that when you listen to next week's episodes.
But that's so funny. What did the boys think of it?
James really didn't watch. He's not really like a movie watcher. Like he watches like YouTube videos and he doesn't even finish them. Like he just likes short attention span. Sam watched most of it and he liked it. I said, "Are you sure you don't want to, like, are you going to be scared or whatever?" He's like, "It's okay. I'm going to chance it." And I was like, okay, son. It's okay. I'm going to chance it.
I love him so much.
He's the best. Every family needs a Sam. I still could do without the hitting, but he's pretty great.
He's working on it. Not everybody's perfect, Mom.
The toilet survived.
So, in this book, he started writing it in the 80s, and it got published in 91. So the science is from back then, okay?
Right.
So, the thoughts and the ideas were there, but the tech wasn't, right?
Right.
And now we've progressed so far into the future. Do you think this could even be possible today?
So, I mean, you definitely, when you're reading this now, you have to remember that this is written in the 90s because, like nobody knew how to use a computer in this.
Right. We didn't even clone a sheep yet. A sheep?
It was a sheep.
No, is that the proper, like, English?
Yes.
A sheep? Sheep is plural and singular, right?
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
What would you call a singular sheep? A sheep? A ship?
A sheep?
A ship?
Anyways, oh my God. Back to our regular scheduled program.
It's a lamb.
The fluffy thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, nobody in this book even knows how to use computers, which we're talking about.
Right.
Like, science guys, like, they would know how to use computers. So we do know that cloning can be done.
Right.
And a lot of science uses cloning not to clone, like, entire beings. Like, we do have, obviously, I can't remember what the sheep's name was, but Dolly.
And I'll put a link to that, the Wikipedia or whatever about it, because it was a big deal when we were in elementary and middle school. It was
very controversial because we were playing God. So that was like a whole thing. But we actually use cloning in other ways. Like medicine uses cloning of Molly, I'm telling you, Katie is going to kill me for saying this because I'm probably going to say the wrong thing. But
we love you, Katie.
They have used the HIV virus and they have deactivated it and treated other things. And like it's been successful in treating other things. So, I mean, that isn't really cloning, but it is sort of like replicating the science.
Right.
And it's
we're
similar.
Copying and pasting in a way.
Right. I do think that we could probably clone DNA. Mm-hmm. But I don't think we could do that for dinosaurs.
I mean,
there's just not enough of their DNA that can be found.
No, I feel like the bones are too old.
Right. And I get that the scientists are, like, the science in this book is that they were getting it from amber. Like, mosquitoes trapped in amber. I don't even know how many mosquitoes trapped in amber you would find.
How much, what in a gazillion chance are you going to find a mosquito trapped with dinosaur blood still in it?
Right. And like what they were doing, Dr. Wu, was that his name, I think?
Yeah.
So he was taking the DNA and basically said he didn't know what he was making until he made it. And patching in things. I mean, that's what he said in the book. Right. He was patching in parts to, like, complete the DNA sequence. And I'm sure you could do that, but I just don't feel like you would have enough DNA from that.
Right, and, like, they had to copy and paste a lot. They had to take DNA from this creature, and, like, they were using different things. So, is it possible?
At the end of the day, could you piecemeal together a dinosaur? Probably not. I don't think so.
No. But, okay, let me ask you this. Would you want, if it was feasible, would you even want to be at this park? Would you have any desire to go?
Yeah. That's pretty fucking cool.
I mean, it's really cool, but I don't think, with the power and the size of these creatures, I don't think it would ever be safe.
No. I think, I mean, if you were only making herbivores, you maybe could get away with, like, they were a little bit safer, but they're so big. How do you control them? I mean, just this week when we're filming this, which, you know, we're filming just a couple days before we're actually going live on this one.
Right.
Just this week, a dolphin attacked its trainer in Florida. Right. So, I mean, and we had like...
Wild animals are still wild animals.
They're still wild animals. I mean...
Right.
What is the...
Sigmund Freud? Not Sigmund Freud. Siegfried and Roy.
Siegfried and Roy. They got attacked by their tigers.
Like, their old tiger. The one that had been with them forever.
Right. And then Shamu at Orlando's...
drowned one of his trainers, grabbed her by the ankle and just took her down and kept her down there.
Right. He thought he was playing a game, most likely.
Right.
You know what's so creepy about that?
Kids were watching. This was during a live performance.
I know. No, it wasn't. It was in the morning before. But I thought
it was during a performance.
We had actually gone to... what the hell is the place called?
SeaWorld?
SeaWorld, thank you.
The one in Florida or San Diego?
It was the one in SeaWorld in Florida. We had gone to SeaWorld that summer before the trainer was killed, and I have pictures of her. Because she was the trainer that was like... I know, that's really creepy.
That is really creepy.
Creepy. Wow. But anyway, yeah, so I mean, wild animals are wild animals. Dogs attack their owners. Like, cats attack... I mean, cats are... That's just what they do. Weird. They're awful. I hate cats. Do you have cats?
We have 2. I don't hate them. Ugh. Yeah. But both girls have a cat. So Piper got one, and don't judge them. They love them.
James went through this phase where he was wanting a cat, and I was like, how about a dog?
Liv's cat, we actually have deemed Hellcat because she's just so everything. We have to put a bell on her because she likes to... She doesn't attack, she surprises you. Like, she thinks she's playing tag. Nails are in, but in the dark, she just comes out and goes, bah, 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 and then runs away. It's like,
so I used to babysit my cousins. I used to babysit my cousins, and they had cats. And one of the main reasons I don't like cats is because I would wake up in the middle of the night, and it would be in my face. Like, it would be on my chest and in my face. And like, it scared the shit out of me. So I was like, no, this is not for me. So I'm just not a cat person. I want
to watch you sleep.
I want an animal that loves me. Cats don't love you. They love themselves.
And they pretend to love you so that you give them the things they want.
And they pretend to own you. Anyway, so my point is, I would like to go because I think it's really cool, but I also would probably
imagine the waivers you would have to sign to go to a park like that.
It'd be crazy. And I would have a moral objection to it too. Like,
right. Like
they say this in the movie. They don't say this in the book, I don't think. But Malcolm says, God creates dinosaurs. God kills dinosaurs. God creates man. Man kills God. God creates dinosaurs. And then the comment back is...
God, he's such a crackpot.
God kills man and women inherits the earth. Or dinosaurs kill man and women inherit the earth. But yeah, like, I would have like a moral dilemma with that. Like, there's a reason they went extinct. Like, they're extinct. There's a reason. And we shouldn't be trying
we shouldn't be... There's a reason we're not cohabitating this planet.
Right. Now, zoos do a lot of preservation. So the point of a zoo isn't just so that, well, it used to be, it's just so you could see the animals. Right. But they actually do a lot of preservation now. And so zoos are helping breed endangered animals to keep the population high enough that the animal doesn't go extinct. Now, the animals that are bred in captivity, most of them can't be released to the wild. So they're not really helping the population. No,
but they're keeping them from extinction. And I feel like if this science was available, instead of trying to bring back something from extinction, we should be using it to keep animals from being extinct, right?
Yeah, and they actually do a lot. There's a show. It's on Discovery, but if you have Disney Plus, not sponsored on any of that.
No. Hashtag not sponsored.
You can watch Secrets of the Zoo, and
yes,
it's the Columbus Zoo.
Yeah.
I love that show.
My girls love it.
I don't like the spinoffs that are the Tampa Zoo or the Sydney Zoo. I like the Columbus.
My kids will watch anything about the zoos. They're obsessed with it.
But they talk about the fact that they breed the cheetahs with artificial insemination.
That's so wild.
So like they are like
they're helping prevent this. It's so wild.
Yeah. They're sperm jacking some cheetahs, and then they actually put the cheetah.
Your gonna clip that so hard.
They actually put the male cheetah under local anesthesia, and then they go.
They take a syringe.
They go into the testes, and they remove the sperm from there, and then they inject it. I don't know why they don't just breed them. They never explain that, but that's how they breed cheetahs.
If you know why, do a video on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook and tag us. We need to know why. So
I don't really need to know why.
I do. Maybe it's because the males try to kill their females while they're mating.
I don't know.
What did you think of Crichton as an author?
So I never thought I would read him because I put him in the same vein as oh my gosh, I just forgot his name. Who's the author I really don't like?
Which one?
Right, good question.
Pattinson?
Yeah.
Patterson? James Patterson?
James Patterson. I really don't like James Patterson, and here's why. For all you James Patterson
I was gonna next was Stephen King, so I didn't know which way we were going with this.
No. For all the James Patterson fans out there, just hear me out for a second. I'm a librarian.
Okay, I'm just.
Do you know how much land, real estate he takes up in libraries? And he doesn't
seriously, and not just in one section.
He's in all the sections.
Children's, fiction, nonfiction,
middle grade. He has all of it. YA. But he doesn't
He's
even
trying to take the world over.
He doesn't even write the books. He puts his name on a lot of stuff that's just ghostwritten. So
but hell, really if he pays good, I'll ghostwrite for him too. What's the pay, man?
Okay, not give me the money. Molly. So I put Michael Crichton in that same thing. I don't really read thriller, but I really liked this book. I really liked it.
Yeah. I like how he broke it down. Did you read the hard copy or did you listen to the audiobook?
No, I read this. I read the hard copy, and I'm glad I did because there's math in it.
Right, there's statistics, right? Mm-hmm. On some pages, and then they have diagrams, and
this is a really important one. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see the breakdown of the dinosaurs, and then you can see the how this is a bell curve, but the dinosaurs should look like this, and actually seeing that for
integer, me, that one.
Seeing the math made me understand it better, so I think that was important.
That page?
Yeah. And I guess I mean that page is more like files and stuff, which I think now in 2022
this is the
we
computer
understand.
Startup one. They're trying. This is the computer keys.
Well, we kind of understand that stuff better now, but I thought it was good.
So
I like his writing.
I like the style because I like the infographics in there. It really helps.
Yeah, and I think it helps that Michael Crichton is a scientist.
Right,
he was a computer science major or something like that.
I believe so.
We'll put his bio below. I mean, I don't know. Molly
has a website. I'll just put the website up in the link in the thing, and it'll have all his things.
But he is deceased, so he's not actively writing anymore. No. Obviously,
but his world building. We've been really on this a lot lately.
Yes.
His world building is excellent.
Yes, and I think when you're
it starts from the beginning when we're in Puerto Rico.
Oh my gosh.
When we're in Puerto Rico and the little girl gets
I don't think we're in Puerto Rico. We're somewhere in South America.
I thought it was Puerto Rico.
No, it isn't. It's somewhere in South America. It's close to where they're
Palo Alto.
That's California.
The tropical falls.
Costa Rica.
Is that what I said?
You said Puerto Rico.
Oh, I thought I said Costa Rica.
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
I don't either. It doesn't
matter. You know what was the creepiest image of this book for me? Want to know the creepiest one? It wasn't like the T-Rex like looming. It was the scene where the doctor who had just delivered the baby comes out and knows that those 3 dinosaurs have been feeding on the baby.
Yeah, the little raptors. Yeah.
And yeah, they're not raptors. There's something that's like that and smaller. I don't know how to say the word. It starts with a C. But then she decides to report it as the baby died of SIDS. And I told Tom, I stopped reading and I was like, Tom, if your baby dies of SIDS, aren't you going to want to like see the baby? Like, and if I see my baby all eaten up, I'm going to know that it wasn't SIDS. I can't
find it. Like, but anyways, yeah, it's wild, right? Because nobody would believe her.
It's called a, where is it? Procompsogoniathids. That's not how you say that, guys.
Nope. Again, tell us in the comments.
I have no idea. I don't know how to say dinosaur words. So, I know Tyrannosaurus Rex.
His world building. Excellent. Storytelling.
Yeah, for sure.
Fantastic.
And I think he did a really awesome job of like bringing dinosaurs to life because let's be honest, we don't really know what they looked like.
No, we're just guessing.
We're guessing. And as a matter of fact, when Iguanodon was first found, that's the first dinosaur that was found. The reason that they're called dinosaurs, which means terrible lizard, and Iguanodon is named Iguanodon, it's because they put the bones together incorrectly.
Right.
The people who found them, scientists who found them were like, oh, it must be a lizard. So they were putting the bones together to look like a lizard. And it wasn't until they started finding more bones that they were like, oh, this is absolutely not a lizard. This is something else entirely. And the other thing I liked about this book is now a lot of paleontologists believe that dinosaurs had feathers.
Right.
All of them had feathers and that they were more bird-like than anything else.
Oh, and is that must be an interest. I'll look up and see if there's an article on that because that'd be really interesting to read.
Well, I'm sure there is. And you want to know where I first learned this? Dinosaur Train on PBS. But look, there's a real paleontologist who does the science on this.
I'm not laughing. I just think it's adorable.
But I love dinosaurs, and James was really into them when he was a kid, so we did, like, a lot of dinosaur reading. Like, we learned a lot about it. And we've been to several dinosaur museums. But anyway, I don't know. I just think when you look at the raptor that he created, the description of the raptor that he created, it is a bird. It is a bird, and it's a very scary one.
They're all, I mean, he definitely instills fear throughout this book. Yeah. And I think that was his point. This is not something that's fluffy and fun, and these are scary.
His T-Rex might not be accurate to what paleontologists are saying now, because some of them believe that the T-Rex was a scavenger and that it didn't actually hunt.
But I feel like he got his point across. Even if the science is changing, the point is still the same.
Oh, right? Yeah, and in the 90s, this was definitely what they were believing. And let's be honest, we don't know, because dinosaurs have been extinct for so long.
Right.
We don't really know what they looked like. Right. James made a comment yesterday when I was watching the movie, and he had wandered in the room, and he was like, so we don't really know what dinosaurs look like, right, Mommy? And I was like, no, because they've been extinct for so long. We just have arranged their bones and what we think they look like. And he's like, but we know what they sound like? How'd they come up with those sounds for them?
Emus?
I'm like, well, that's a grizzly bear. So, but we don't know what color they were. No. We don't know any of the things about them. But
it's fun to pretend, isn't it?
Yeah. And there's a meme that I always see. I'm obsessed with hippos. Our fans might not know that. I love hippos.
Even though they're mean.
That's one of the reasons I love them. There's a meme I keep seeing going around that's like the skull of a hippo, and then how the future people will arrange the skull, and then what it actually is. And like, of course, it's arranged. It's arranged to look like it's going to like murder you with every inch of it. Like it looks so scary and like all like angles and tusks, and it's a hippo.
It's a hippo.
They don't look scary.
No, they're just fluffy.
They're actually all muscle. Okay, I'm sorry. Right. I don't need to talk about hippos.
No.
But I want to. Fiona, the world's most famous hippo, is going to be a big sister.
That's great. I'm excited for Fiona.
I had a conversation with Dawn earlier today in which she was like, oh, yeah, I heard that. And then she said something about like, Fiona's the only name of a hippo I know, and I was like, I really wish I only knew Fiona's name, but I know the names of many hippos, unfortunately.
That's okay.
I follow a Fiona fan page, like
on Instagram,
on Facebook. But yes, okay. like I love hippos.
You love hippos.
I love hippos.
So back to this.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Who do you think is responsible for the events that unfold at the park? Uh-huh. Is it Neater or Hammond himself?
Well, if Hammond wouldn't have done it, then we wouldn't have a story, right? I would say that they are equally responsible. Hammond was foolish. He hired a scientist who thought of science and not of what the repercussions would be.
Right.
And instead of like actually properly thinking out what the repercussions would be, like Hammond was just like, fuck it, we're going to have dinosaurs. And the scientist was like, fuck it, I can make the science work. Neater is a dick. Like, I'm kind of glad he died. Like
he deserved it.
Glad he died.
He did. I think he is the first domino that set that track off.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, this is just my feeling. If Hammond had been more methodical and less of a madman of what he was, and he took his time, this park could have been successful. But he was in such a rush to get this out and show the world that he wasn't thinking about security. He wasn't thinking about safety. He wasn't thinking about any of these major problems that ended up happening, right?
Right.
And security clearances might have been a good idea in doing background checks on all your people before you freaking started this shit.
Yeah,
Neater was a sleazeball.
Yeah, and they were hiring workmen from the main island. Like, they weren't... Yeah, it was like... It was not good. But they try to fix that in the new Jurassic Park movies that, like, Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard are in. They tried to fix that as, like, this is a successful park. This is, like, the Disney World of...
And it was doing well until it wasn't.
But, it's wild animals.
Right.
Like, even in zoos, animals get out of their pens. Like, in this area where I live, there's a story about a red panda who escaped. They have never found it.
It's just out in the wild somewhere?
It's been years.
Well, fuck.
So at this point, someone has it as a pet or it died, but they've never found it. And it's been since before we moved here in 2017. So it's been years.
Wow.
And, like, I know, like, Busch Gardens in Florida, they built this really cool, like, orangutan area. And one of them got out because it was like, really? I can jump over that.
I remember, this might be just something I had heard in passing when I was a kid. I remember in the 80s, I was little, the Dolphins used to have a dolphin actually at the stadium.
They did.
And he jumped out from his little enclosure into the water.
I don't know if he did that, but I know that, like, people were not happy.
No, because there was PETA was there. Right,
yeah, it was like a fish tank.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was not big enough for So, to answer your question, I say they're both responsible. I think Hammond didn't handle this responsibly. He wanted the cool thing, and he hired people who were in it for the science and not the repercussions.
Right.
Like, Wu is the perfect example of a scientist who doesn't think about anything but the science.
Right. The fact that because that was his job.
Right. And this is a quote from the book and the movie. We didn't stop to think... When we figured out we could do it, we didn't stop to think if we should do it.
Right.
And that's a quote from both the movie and the book. And also a quote from both is Life Finds a Way, which is a great quote.
There was a quote in here I wanted to talk about, but keep going.
Oh, that was really it. I just think, like, they're both responsible. Neater obviously was a sleazeball, and they found the perfect person to play him for the movie. Oh my gosh, that's perfect. But he dies much more violently in the book.
Fuck yeah, he does.
He's, like, eaten alive. Like, the dinosaur that poisons him with the acid, it's blinded him. And it's, like, literally just eating him alive on the ground while he's still, like, he's screaming and he's alive. And he's being eaten.
I mean, he deserves it. Treacherous bitch.
You deserve that. I don't know, but...
he betrayed the man that was paying his bills.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't happy because the man who was paying his bills wasn't paying him what he felt he was worth. But, like, you bid the job. Like, you have to do what you bid.
Right.
And he apparently didn't do it very well because they had all these glitches that weren't even relevant to the fact that he turned the system off.
Right.
So.
Right. Did you have a favorite character?
Dr. Grant. Is it Grant or Graham?
Grant. Grant.
Yeah, Dr. Grant and Malcolm are my favorite.
Ian Malcolm's my favorite.
And
he's a pessimist in this world, while everybody's like oohing and awing, and he's like, this is fucking madness. What are you doing?
Yeah. And they're probably my favorite in the movie too. But I would say they probably get the most, Ian Malcolm really doesn't because he gets attacked. So he is basically just dying and then he does die. But Dr. Grant is such a huge, he's like one of the main characters. I understand there's a lot of main characters, but a lot of the book is him trying to get him and the kids home.
Right. He's trying to get them to safety.
Right. I don't like that they made him and Dr. Sadler a couple.
Especially with their age gap, right? Dr. Sadler's in her late 20s, early 30s, and he's in his late 40s, early 50s.
And she's engaged to somebody else.
Yes.
Who's a doctor somewhere else, because they mentioned that in the book. But what really annoyed me yesterday when I watched the movie, at the end, she had wanted him to spend time with the kids because she wants kids and they haven't had kids yet, and whatever. And at the end, when the kids are all snuggled up to him, she gives him this look okay,
a knowing look. Yeah.
And I'm like, girl, you just beat dinosaurs. Maybe we just chill out for a minute. Right.
Exactly. I want to talk about Hammond for a second himself.
Okay.
Do you think he's crazy? Everybody else thinks.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think it's greed that drives him or the love of the science?
I think he's an eccentric billionaire. I don't think it's science. I think it's the love of, things that are unusual. And,
things that money can't buy, right?
Yeah, and this isn't really the best example because this person's actually doing some good in the world. But Elon Musk.
Right.
He's a crazy rich guy. He's got a lot of money in it.
But he's not doing batshit crazy shit that's getting people killed right now.
He's not doing batshit crazy stuff that's getting people killed. However, he is thinking about science before he thinks about the repercussions.
That's true.
Now, to be fair, SpaceX has actually helped further the space program in this country since our space program was basically cut.
Right. It's been defunded, right?
Well, it isn't anymore. But the funding had been cut significantly. And so, I don't know. He's done a lot to help with that, but he's a crazy scientist. He doesn't always think about what the repercussions would be. He thinks about, what the science is.
That's why the crazy scientists need handlers.
I think that's true of a lot of people that have a lot of money.
And they need a voice of reason.
Correct. And Elon Musk actually is a scientist, so he's not just, a crazy rich dude, but, the guy that owns Virgin Air. He's a crazy rich dude.
Yeah.
He's crazy.
He is.
And Hammond needed somebody to rein him in. He needed somebody to say, you know what? No, you cannot do this. This is
definitely
not okay.
did.
But instead, he did it before he asked permission.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, asking forgiveness instead of permission doesn't really work, baby. You almost got everybody killed. And he got himself killed. He dies.
But and that's symbolism in the book, right? Mm-hmm. Letting him die by his own creation, it is a Frankenstein moment,
the creation kills the creator, it is. It's really interesting the way that he dies because I had seen the movie many times, and he doesn't die in the movie. He survives.
They keep him
alive.
I
was not expecting that. I was not expecting it. And he basically dies because he wanders off stupidly. He falls down a hill. And when he tries to go back up the hill, he's sprayed by the same acid that kills Neater.
Yeah.
The same dinosaur kills him. It's totally stupid.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, and it's the little dinosaurs that kill him too. It's the little dinosaurs that start the book.
Right.
The ones that are getting off the island.
Right. It's kind of symbolism that the ones that start us off are also his end, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Was there any other... his death was surprising for you. Was there any other deaths that surprised you in the book?
Well, I was surprised Ian died, though that makes more sense than that he just magically survives a T-Rex attack.
Yeah.
I would say that really almost everybody dies in the book. The only people that, well, I guess that happens.
This should be called All My Friends Are Dead.
Everyone's dying. Everyone's leaving. The only people that survive in the book, correct me if I'm wrong, but is Dr. Sadler, Dr. Grant, the kids. Does anybody else survive? I think that one of maybe the one scientist. It's
Dr.
not
Wu?
Does Dr. Wu survive?
I can't remember now.
Somebody else survives. Let me go to the end.
I can't remember.
Let me go to the end.
But yeah, everybody dies, man. Everyone dies.
Yeah. Gutierrez. Nope, that's sorry, that's something else. That's the
Grant, Ellie, Gennaro.
Does he make it? Yep.
Yep, Gennaro's safe.
It's Gennaro because he's the one that he goes with them to the beach. They find the whole raptor nest, which they leave out of the movie, which was just crazy to me. Like, I was like, how is this book still going on? It's over. Oh, there's a raptor nest. Fuck.
Yeah.
But it's Grant, Ellie,
the kids.
Gennaro, the kids. Hammond dies, so that's all that's left.
Right. But they kept Hammond and Malcolm alive in the movie, which, I mean...
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
look who played Hammond. Look who played Ian. I mean, hubba, right?
You can't kill him off. That's Jeff Goldblum. He's immortal.
He is. I mean...
He's got to be part of the Illuminati. There's no way he looks like that, and he's not. I liked it at the end today. I like at the end that they realize that what the raptors are doing is trying to migrate like birds.
Right. Because that's what birds do.
That's what birds do.
So the science, I've said this already, the science and the math in this book is heavy. And it makes my ADHD brain just go numb.
Yeah.
Were you able to understand most of it and keep up with it?
Yeah, actually I was, because...
that's great.
Math is not my strong point, but I actually do understand chaos theory. Mm-hmm. And chaos theory is exactly what it sounds like. It basically means that we can't control anything. It makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. And when we try to to me, chaos theory is a lot like my anxiety disorder. So when I try to control things, what ends up happening is I actually spiral, right? So it starts small, and then it gets bigger. And it gets bigger and it gets bigger until I've spiraled to the fact that I'm 20 years down the road trying to fix something that hasn't even happened yet.
Right.
And chaos theory basically says that this is what we want to happen, and there's all these different alternatives that could happen within chaos theory. Mm-hmm. I did not catch the math when they were showing we have all the dinosaurs, and then they were showing, look, there's a bell curve. But when Grant and Ian talk about how it shouldn't be a bell curve, it should look like this, and then they show that graph in the book, I was like, fuck, they're right, because they're releasing the dinosaurs at different times. That makes a lot of sense. But they didn't have a mathematician there. They consulted with Ian, and they consulted with Grant, but they didn't actually have a mathematician there.
But here's the thing. As soon as Hammond got an answer he didn't like, he stopped talking to those consultants.
Right.
Right?
What would have made more sense is they had a vet there. They had a large game vet there. Why wasn't the vet noticing that pattern?
Right.
You would have understood.
Maybe he just
growth pattern.
Maybe he just wasn't paying attention.
I don't know.
Maybe he wasn't getting paid enough to pay attention.
I don't know. Well, I mean, it was a weird job. These are animals they don't exist. So how are you going? Yeah, it's crazy. But they're not wrong. They make a point in there to talk about the fact that people are going to want to buy designer dinosaur pets. That would 100% happen.
Hammond had a pet miniature elephant he took everywhere with him.
Yeah.
To show, the beauty of his science, right? Mm-hmm. And that poor thing, it must have been in so much pain.
I know. Yeah.
So much pain.
And I don't think... I don't think they're wrong about that. I think if this existed, that everybody would want a little dinosaur pet.
Right, and it would get out of control.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think there are two quotes in the very beginning of this book?
Okay.
Do you need me to read them? Do you think they're trying to make a point?
I think that you should read them because our listeners may not have read the book.
Fuck this. Reptiles are abhorrent because of their cold blood, pale color, cartilaginous skeleton. I suck at reading, I'm sorry. Filthy skin, fierce aspect, calculating eyes, offensive smell, harsh voice, squattal habitation, and terrible venom. Wherefore their creator had not exerted his power to make many of them. Linnaeus, 1797.
Well, that's just not true because there are a lot of reptiles.
And then the second one, you could not recall a new form of life. Irwin Chargaff, 1972.
Yeah.
That second one really hits hard, right? You could not recall a new form of life. Like,
yeah.
So he was making a point, right? Before you even step onto the first page in chapter 1, he's like, hey.
The one thing I will say,
you guys.
And you reminded me of this with the reptiles quote, and I'm actually going to give this a this. You can't say that dinosaurs aren't reptiles and then say that they're reptiles and that they're not reptiles and then go ahead and throw in amphibian DNA and like make that work.
Right.
Like there's just no way.
It's not a salad. You just can't throw in what you feel like and hope it tastes good.
And I know that DNA, like our DNA as humans, is very similar to the DNA of a lot of creatures because that's the way DNA works. Like I personally believe that's the way God works, but the science proves that our DNA is similar to the DNA of a lot of other creatures.
Right.
But I don't feel like you can say that the dinosaurs are reptiles and then also say, but they weren't reptiles. And also we're going to use amphibian DNA to I just feel like you can't do that. Like,
you can't pick and choose.
Like, I don't know how patching DNA would work, but to me, it wouldn't make sense that you could patch DNA with something that isn't. I mean, it's not even from the same species. Like, it's not the same.
There's no genetic markers that make them similar. Like, why are we trying to.
Right. And I think probably for the purpose of
for those listening to the pod, I just did a very fancy hand signal that was very important, so you should definitely go see it on YouTube.
I loved it. But I think they chose specifically to use the amphibian so that they could make the argument that it had actually changed, life found a way, and they were able to breed. So he made the science work. So once again, the science didn't make sense, but he made it work.
This book has been studied in college and high school for its symbolism. Mm-hmm. The big one being nature versus man. Any thoughts on the fact that this has become a part of regular reading for teens and young adults for school?
I don't know.
I read it for creative writing, and we talked about it was more of a conversation on transitioning books to movies, right? For us, and it was a study about how they transition, that kind of thing. But I can see how this would be in an English curriculum.
I think as a former English teacher, a high school English teacher, this would not be one I would have picked for my class because I do feel like it relies so heavily on suspension of reality and knowledge of math and science, to really, truly engage in it. But at the collegiate level, I think that you could really dissect this and get some good conversations out of it. I do.
You do. And there's a conversation to be had about the writing style. There's a conversation to be had about the symbolism he has in here. I mean, and to talk
he has
about
a lot of characters to keep track of, and he does.
And also, this now, people that aren't me, probably this is the first book that a lot of them saw all this heavy math and science in a book, and it made it comprehensible. So, I mean, there's got to be a conversation there about talking about making complicated things like, complicated things like DNA breakdown, understandable for people.
I do also want to do this for this.
Oh boy.
I feel like there was so much of the story at the beginning that was unnecessary to setting the scene. Like he did a fine job building the world on the island. He didn't need to do the fact that they had eaten babies and all that shit. And he didn't need all of that. No. I mean, because actually you don't even get to the island in this book. And I think I texted you this when I was reading it. You don't even get to the island until you're over 100 pages in.
Right.
When did we get there?
Right.
It's
like 110, 100.
Yeah. So you actually get there in the third iteration, which happens
97,
page 97. That is when you first get to the island. So you are almost 100 pages in before you actually get to Jurassic
you
Park.
You can see, this is all at the park, but this is also world building, right?
But I don't know that you needed that world building.
I mean, it was
maybe the stuff with Dr. Grant to set the scene for the fact of what he's doing.
I think you needed it to understand the characters, not to build the world. Does that make sense?
Because a lot of the stuff that happens at the beginning isn't with characters that are even in the book.
Right. That's true. You're right.
The other thing that really bothered me...
I'll give you the bell in agreement.
The other thing that really bothered me was the doctor at the beginning, when the man from the resort is brought in that he's been attacked by a raptor, and she doesn't know what a raptor is. What the fuck? How do you not know what a raptor is?
Like, okay, I understand language
it's a bird
barrier.
Of prey.
Like,
No. She spoke English. She
thought he was speaking in Spanish.
Right, but you don't know that the English word raptor means bird of prey. Like, how do you not? Like, I was just like, how dumb is this doctor? Like, I was not okay with that. But again, I really did like the story. I will say, I don't think Michael Crichton's so great at writing women.
No.
The girl was annoying, and all the other women that were in there were just not they weren't great. Like, he was not great at writing women. At least not in this book. This is the only thing I've read by him. So, Michael Crichton fans, I'm sorry, but this is the only thing I've read, and that's all I can tell you. I don't think he wrote women well.
So, is this book a horror novel or science fiction?
Science fiction. I would say science fiction and thriller. I wouldn't say horror.
No, I would definitely put this in thriller.
Mm-hmm.
Thriller. So, I want to hear your thoughts about the movie. Let's go a little deeper into the movie.
Okay.
Adaptation. What were your feelings about how it was adapted, and what was taken from the book to the movie? How did you feel about all of this?
So I wasn't sure that I would like the book because the beginning of it just kind of drags on with stuff that didn't make sense. And I really do love the movie. That movie came out when I was in 7th grade, and it was a huge deal. And my school concert band, my 7th grade concert band, we did a whole Jurassic Park medley for a competition and a concert. The music,
the first movie came out in 93.
Right. The score is
3rd grade.
Yeah, I was 93, so I was born in 81, so I was 12. But the score is gorgeous. It's a beautiful score. And so because I love the movie so much, I wasn't sure if I would like the... Yeah, exactly. I wasn't sure if I would like the book because it just had such a slow start to it. But I did really like it. And so I don't know. I think the movie cut out the stuff that would have been too long-winded and confusing and wasn't really necessary. And they really dumbed down the science with that Mr. DNA, Yeah, right. Well, and I mean, you can say that he was using the beginning part of this book as world building, which isn't as necessary when you can visually see the dinosaurs. So, I mean, it's better to world build when you can see a triceratops lying in a field sick. We could actually see it. I was kind of annoyed that we don't get Ellie solving the mystery. She legit solved what was causing him to be sick. And that again, that was the only character development she had, and you're
diminishing who she is, right?
Yes, they diminished her from a scientist
to the wife of Dr. Grant.
Right, and I didn't like that.
But Hollywood for ruining women again.
Mm-hmm. But I did think they did a better job of making me not hate the girl. I didn't hate her like I did in the book. I was like, my gosh, every time she spoke, I just wanted to feed her to a T-Rex. She's awful.
Out of 5 stars, if you were going the worst transition from book to the best, I would give this a 3.5.
I'd say that's probably right. I don't think they did a bad job transitioning it, which I think that helps. That again, we've talked about this before.
And I think Steven Spielberg did an excellent job. I mean, if anybody's going to take this book and make it what it deserves to be, with Steven Spielberg.
Yes, but Steven Spielberg, visually, he's probably one of the best in Hollywood. But he totally fucked up Ready Player One. I'm still not over that. But this, he made dinosaurs, Molly.
He made them fucking
make dinosaurs.
he changed the future of our generation. Do you know how many kids became paleontologists because of this?
Well, I'm sure a lot. I mean, it's referenced in Friends. Like, there's an episode where Ross references it.
I mean, it's zeitgeist, right? It's zeitgeist.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I mean, it's still popular. There are tons of Jurassic Park toys that are being purchased.
Kids are obsessed with it still. I mean, you still have tiny humans that every day fall in love with it because of one book.
Now, he doesn't always get the eras correct because all of these dinosaurs didn't live at the same time.
Right. So, right. Like, I mean, we're talking about, like, nitpicking the science there, but I agree.
If you're somebody that only knows this, you don't necessarily know that a T-Rex and a Tyrannosaurus Rex
were in the same era,
and a Triceratops were not in the same,
Right, because there's different periods of dinosaurdom.
There's actually just as much time between a Triceratops and a T-Rex as there is from us and a T-Rex. That's how much time was in between. I know.
I knew there was a big gap, but I didn't realize it was that big of a gap.
Yeah.
And it's like the woolly mammoths were at a different time, and there's like these...
those aren't really dinosaurs. Those are
not dinosaurs. So before we wrap up, I want to hear your rating. What did you finally rate this book?
Oh my gosh, Molly, I need to look at this before we come on because I never know. And like
I always ask.
Then you always ask, and then I'm standing here fumbling, trying to pull up my Goodreads account. I gave it a 4. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. Okay. I gave it 4 because I generally, unless it moves you from a 4 to a 5, I generally give you the higher rating in stars, and then actually tell the rating. So if you're not following me on Goodreads, you can find me on Goodreads. I have had people who started following me there actually since the pod. But
let me tell you, her Goodreads reviews are detailed and really do help a reader make a good decision. So follow April. I'll put the link to her Goodreads page in the bio. But anyways, you were saying...
I think it's smart writing, but I just thought parts dragged on. So that's why it was a 3.5 for me. But when I read 3.5-star books, a lot of times I'm like, I could have done without that. Like, I didn't need that to be a part of my life. And I don't feel that way about this book. I'm very glad that I read it.
This book was, I think... this is going to be a strong statement. This book is a necessary read for all people. I think it's a classic. Yeah. And I think it should be treated as such because there is so much sci-fi that came from this.
Yes.
There is so much.
It's like Frankenstein. Even though I didn't like Frankenstein either time I read it.
But this is so much better than Frankenstein.
Oh my gosh, it's so much better than Frankenstein. So 3.5 stars, but I did really enjoy it, and I'm glad you picked it because, again, this is not one I would have ever read.
No, it is fantastic.
And then I would have never watched the movie with Sam and got him to say, the toilet survived, which was the highlight of my day yesterday.
So next week we
are going to have Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy next week. This is all 5 books, guys, so it is not this long.
It is not that long.
The first book is very short. It is, it is 140 pages.
Yeah, so the audiobook was... Let me see. I can't pull the audiobook up without my phone automatically playing. But the audiobook is like less than 5 hours, I think.
Yeah, I think it's only 3.5 because I've listened to the audiobook before. But we're going to read Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And we actually have a special guest host next week, which is my husband, Tom. He's been our...
And I didn't talk about this on the episode, but Stephen Fry does the audiobook.
Oh, well... That's okay. We could put it in the notes next week.
The audiobook is 5 hours and 51 minutes.
Oh, that's longer than I remember it being. But my husband is going to host. So he has been our editor since episode 1. He's been editing for us. He actually makes our episode reels. So if you're following us on Instagram or TikTok.
If you think we're funny on TikTok and reels, it's because of Tom.
Yeah, he puts those together, those little vignettes that start our episode with all like the clips from the episode. He does that. But he hosted for us this last week, and like I said,
it's going to be funny. I think it's going to be funny.
Be prepared for April to be hella embarrassed because that's what happened in this episode. But yeah, so we're wrapping up the month with this. If you are not following us on social media, please do.
Why the fuck aren't you? Yeah. Excuse you, rude.
Molly, be nice.
That was me being nice.
I will be posting this week the reveal for our May books, but I will tell you our first May book, which is Me Before You by Jojo Moyes. So this is a trilogy. But
I just finished that movie last night.
I watched it this week too. Oh, it's so good. Anyway, so we will be doing this for the first week in May, and because Molly's moving cross country, I'm going to host all 5 weeks in May.
Because you're a peach. You got this, boo boo.
And then we'll go back to the rotating hosts in June, probably,
Unless Molly has killed herself and the whole clan because she couldn't handle the move.
Let's hope not, Molly. I really can't do this without you. But anyway, so we are, Molly, we only have 2 months left in this season.
Woo!
We are more than halfway through season 2.
Nice. Crazy. Nice. Thank you guys for joining us on it.
Yes.
It's been a fun ride so far.
Yes.
And guess what? We're not fucking going anywhere, so get used to us.
That's not the plan. We already have some fantastic guests lined up for season 3.
I cannot wait to talk about season 3.
Oh my gosh. I cannot
wait.
We have some really cool people coming on in season 3. It's going to be great.
It's going to be awesome.
And we don't have her officially scheduled yet, but, Katie's coming on again.
And Chessie.
Chessie's coming on again. Yeah, that's going to be great. And we've got a few bookstagrammers and an independent author going to be coming on. So, yeah.
But, all right, gang, we should get out of your hair because we're pushing our hour marker.
And because I'm getting tired.
Yeah, it is late for April. But till next time, gang.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for joining us on Book Besties. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The views discussed here are those of Molly and April and not those of anyone else. Today's book was Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. Your Book Besties are Molly Biggs and April Watkins. Editing by Thomas Watkins and music is Sleep Sweetly by Brigida. Don't forget to follow the Book Besties on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. If you'd like to contact the Book Besties, please email us at bookbestiespod@gmail.com.